Here are 5 scary movies I'd recommend to almost everyone. I know everyone has different definitions for what's scary and different preferences for what types of movies they enjoy. So I tried to pick movies that I think are creepy and unsettling in a psychological or maybe existential way that don't rely on too many jump scares or excessive gore. First up, I want to recommend The Vanishing. This used to be my answer to the question, what's the scariest movie you've seen that's not a horror movie? Because I swear it was always labeled as a thriller, not a horror film. But I've seen more people call it a horror film in recent years, but this movie is so subtle but really gets under your skin. I feel like I just stared at a wall when it was over because I was just so uncomfortable. Seconds is such an underrated film. People think of it more as a sci-fi thriller, but it's a pretty disturbing concept. I also feel like this movie may have been an inspiration for films like Get Out and The Substance. Peeping Tom might just be the most visually stunning film about a serial killer that I've ever seen. The cinematography is immaculate. It was released the same year as Psycho, and both films have a lot in common, but for some reason Peeping Tom was completely torn apart by critics when it was released, and it took years for people to realize that it's actually a masterpiece. The Night of the Hunter is another one that received negative reviews upon its release, but is now considered one of the greatest films ever made. The use of harsh angles and shadows was heavily inspired by German Expressionism and makes for some of the most striking shots in film history. I always think of this one more as a thriller than a horror film, but the narrative truly is terrifying. Eyes Without a Face is another highly influential horror film, and one that has a lot of emotional depth and somehow manages to make it so that we're capable of sympathizing with all the characters, even the antagonist. It's poetic, haunting, and has a fantastic ending. All of these movies are available to stream right now, so I'll list which streaming services they're on in the caption. But comment and let me know which scary movie you'd recommend to almost everyone.